Unspoken Issues.
Okay, we are getting into our final story here, the 8th story in our Marvel Holiday Special of 1993. This story is titled The Rapt Lamb, R-A-P-T. Our writer is Nocenti, Thomas Grindberg penciling, inked by Fred Fredericks, lettered by Brad Joyce, and colored by Evelyn Stein. Another 8-page story here. I want to give you a little bit of background on the creators. Nocenti, big Daredevil writer, that's for sure. Kind of get an idea of her career. You know, it's funny because you look at Mike's Amazing World of Comics, her very first entry is a What If entry. What If featuring the Avengers number 29. She is a colorist at that time. And that is the only time she colors anything. Right after that, she becomes a writer solely. By 82, she's transitioned into writing, starting with Bizarre Adventures 32, and then writing a run on Spider-Woman from 47 to 50 through early 83. She continues writing for various Marvel titles, including Defenders and Doctor Strange. In 84 to 85, she wrote the 4-issue Marvel miniseries Beauty and the Beast. Her big runs, really, in between 1985 to 1991, she wrote Long Shot, the entire series there, 6 issues in 85. Then in Daredevil, she starts writing at issue 236 in July of 1986, and almost goes a full 3 years, all the way up to issue 291 in early 91. And during that run, she was responsible for introducing the character Typhoid in Daredevil 254. She also works on multiple stories for Marvel anthologies like Marvel Fanfare, Marvel Comics Presents. She also wrote two 1988 graphic novels, epic graphic novel Someplace Strange and The Inhumans. In the early 90s, she starts to make her way over to DC. She's expanding her work over there. She does 16 issues of Kid Eternity between 93 and 94 under the Vertigo imprint. She also wrote the 3-issue Venom series, Venom the Madness, in 93, and then also the 4-issue Typhoid miniseries in 95. Now, Thomas Grindberg, he begins his career at DC Comics in 84, where his earliest noted roles were as an artist for stories published in New Talent Showcase. He soon moved into the role of penciler, working on titles such as Talent Showcase number 17 and several issues of Elvira's House of Mystery. He also contributed pencil work to 2 origin stories for Secret Origins featuring the Star-Spangled Kid and the Golden Age Fury. During this period, he began collaborating with Continuity on Revengers featuring Armor and Silver Streak. Between 87 and 89, he starts to expand his work with Marvel, but he's also maintaining a presence at DC. He becomes a frequent contributor to the anthology series Marvel Comics Presents, and it includes him penciling a Man-Thing story called Elements of Terror, Chapter 1, in issue 1, and a lengthy run on Master of Kung Fu across issues 2 through 8. He also penciled stories for X-Factor Annual 2 and Solo Avengers. Over in DC, though, he establishes a run as a penciler on Firestorm the Nuclear Man, working on consecutive issues from 80 to 85. Between 90 and 97, he begins to really put in some work. Over at DC, he's working on the Batman family. He's the artist on Batman Bride of the Demon. He also penciled several mainline Batman titles, including Batman Catwoman Defiant, issues 484 and 485 of Batman. Over in Marvel, though, between 93 to early 94, he's penciling Warlock and the Infinity Watch and Secret Defenders. And, of course, his extensive work on Silver Surfer, including a long continuous run from issue 101 through 116, as well as some earlier issues. But yes, Grindberg is also known for penciling Daredevil. He penciled issues 333 through 337, and the story What If the Kingpin Adopted Daredevil in What If number 73. He also penciled Punisher, The Ghosts of Innocence, Check that out in the archives. And 2 Marvel Holiday Special issues, including this one we're talking about here. So, the longest runs for each one of these creators, Nocenti, like I said, does 33 issues of Daredevil from 259 to 291. She also has the 16 issues of Kid Eternity over at DC. She does 12 issues of Catwoman number 13 through 24, and the 6-issue long shot series we were talking about as well. While Grindberg pencils Star Trek Deep Space Nine for 9 issues, 1 through 9, and this is in 96. Master of Kung Fu that I mentioned earlier, he does 7 issues of Marvel Comics Presents, providing a story for that title. 6 issues of Firestorm and 6 issues of Silver Surfer twice, from 104 to 109, and then 111 to 116. So really, aside from that issue 110, he has a total of 12 issues there. So, okay. And aside from this story here, which dropped November 10th of 1992, these two get together one other time, according to Mike's Amazing World of Comics. The very next holiday special, in the third Marvel holiday special, which I think would be 1994. They do a story called Harvey T. Biscuit's Yule Log. Sounds interesting. All right, what about this story here? Well, let me tell you. This was an interesting one for me. I'll give you the synopsis of the story first. The Rapt Lamb is this quiet, reflective Christmas story told largely from the perspective of a small toy lamb. The lamb recounts its long and happy history, misjudged, resented, and misunderstood after years in an antique shop, before being purchased as a gift and carried through the snowy city by Daredevil. As Daredevil moves through the night, the lamb experiences his world firsthand, soaring over rooftops, pausing at a church where familiar voices bring him comfort, intervening in a mugging with swift violence, and lingering outside a bar where strangers speculate about the pain behind the mask. Through these moments, the lamb comes to understand Daredevil as a deeply conflicted but compassionate man, defined by both tenderness and brutality. The journey ends at an orphanage toy drive where Daredevil quietly donates the lamb and slips away. For the lamb, this is a rebirth, a chance to finally be seen, not as something tainted or meaningless, but as something gentle and good. The story closes on a note of redemption and grace, suggesting that even small, forgotten things can find purpose, and that acts of kindness carry their own quiet salvation during the holiday season. I'm going to read my thoughts first, and then we'll kind of get into what the title of this story means, because I think that holds some weight here. And you'll hear me struggle as I got my thoughts down before I really dug into what this story meant. You can hear me struggle a little bit here. So my initial reaction to this was that it felt less like a traditional Daredevil story and more like a strange Christmas parable, maybe even a literary experiment here. It's very quiet. It's laid back. Barely any action, and that alone made it stand out in the holiday special. But you've got Daredevil doing Daredevil things, listening, observing, stepping in when needed. But the real focus is this porcelain lamb narrating its journey. That choice immediately felt odd to me. It's kind of a strange vantage point to tell a Daredevil story from. And for a good chunk of it, I wasn't sure what the point was supposed to be. This lamb carries resentment, guilt, and longing from its past, and while I can appreciate that it adds emotional weight, especially with the blind shop owner and his son, it didn't fully click for me at first. I understood what was being conveyed, but not necessarily why. Daredevil himself felt very true to the character. He's quiet, thoughtful, burdened by Catholic guilt, deeply connected to his community, and defined by that balance of gentleness and brutality. The story moving him through a church, a violent alley, and a bar all made sense to me. Checking on his mother, saving someone in danger, and hovering around places where people gather, talk, and look for connection. The moment with Sister Maggie stood out the most emotionally to me. Hearing her voice is clearly a Christmas gift, to Matt Murdock. Where the story struggled for me was in how much meaning I was supposed to extract from it. I landed most strongly on loneliness as the core idea, Matt moving through these spaces to feel something, to stay connected without ever fully stepping into the light. The ending with Daredevil donating the lamb to the orphanage worked on a surface level. It's a small gesture, but it's the one gift he chooses, and that gives it significance. I read that moment more as hope than guilt. Matt hoping that something small might still matter to someone else. Still, the story didn't fully land for me emotionally. It felt like Anne had a neat idea here, telling a story from the perspective of a forgotten toy, and followed it through, but I'm not convinced the ending was fully earned. As a Christmas story, it didn't resonate with me as strongly as a more traditional holiday superhero tale. I feel like there's a deeper commentary here, maybe about meaning, maybe about value, maybe even about commercialism, but it never became clear enough for me to grab onto. I do think that this story works best for readers who enjoy quieter, character-driven pieces rather than big plot-heavy stories. And if someone skipped it in the holiday special, I'm not sure they'd miss anything really essential, other than an unusual lens through which to view Daredevil's character. Then I decided to see if I could figure out, perhaps something could shed some light as to what exactly this story was about. When you look at the Rapt Lamb, it's actually a very deliberate title. There's a few layers working all at once here, and they reinforce each other rather than compete. First up, rapt, R-A-P-T, literally means absorbed, transported, or carried away. That applies directly to the lamb itself, which is physically carried through the city and emotionally swept up in Daredevil's night. The lamb is no longer stuck, forgotten, or stagnant. It's in motion, experiencing joy, fear, guilt, and wonder. In that case, the lamb is rapt by life again after decades of emotional dormancy. Second, there's a strong religious and symbolic meaning here. The lamb immediately evokes Christian imagery. Innocence, sacrifice, and Christ, the Lamb of God, which fits the Christmas setting and the church imagery. Daredevil, a famously Catholic character, moves through confession, guilt, violence, and charity, while the lamb ends up offered to children who have nothing. The title suggests a rapt lamb, not as a sacrifice destroyed, but one redeemed, lifted up, and given purpose instead of being condemned or discarded. Finally, the title reflects Daredevil himself. In a metaphorical sense, he is also the lamb, innocent in intention, brutal in action, misunderstood by observers, and quietly burdened by guilt. The title subtly links them, suggesting they share the same emotional journey that night. The title isn't just poetic, it's doing real thematic work. It captures movement, faith, redemption, and quiet transformation all at once, which is exactly what the story is about. Now I have much more appreciation for what this story means. I specifically love the second part there. One could see this lamb represents hope being given to someone who may be hopeless. That's beautiful. I hope you all have enjoyed the last 8 installments that we did here covering the 1993 Marvel Holiday Special. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season.